The Great Terror and Vision of Modernization. The Great Terror and other shooting actions killed no more than 1 million people, probably a bit less. The largest human catastrophe of Stalinism was the famine of 1930 to 1933, in which more than 5 million people starved. Of those who starved, the 3.3 million or so inhabitants of Soviet Ukraine who died in 1932 and 1933 were victims of a deliberate killing policy related to nationality. In early 1930, Stalin announced his intention to liquidate prosperous peasants, kulaks, as a class so that the state could control agriculture and use capital extracted from the countryside to build industry. Tens of thousands of people were shot by Soviet state police and hundreds of thousands were deported. Those who remained lost their land and often went hungry as the state requisitioned food for export. The first victims of starvation were the nomads of Soviet Kazakhstan, where about 1.3 million people died. The famine spread to Soviet Russia and peaked in Soviet Ukraine. Stalin requisitioned grain in Soviet Ukraine knowing that such a policy would kill millions. Blaming Ukrainians for the failure of his own policy, he ordered a series of measures, such as sealing the borders of that Soviet republic, that ensured mass death. In 1937, as his vision of modernization faltered, Stalin ordered the Great Terror. Because we now have the killing orders and the death quotas, inaccessible so long as the Soviet Union existed, we now know that the number of victims was not in the millions. We also know that, as in the early 1930s, the main victims were the peasants, many of them survivors of hunger and of concentration camps. The highest Soviet authorities ordered 386,798 people shot in the kulak operation of 1937-1938. The other major enemies during these years were people belonging to national minorities who could be associated with states bordering the Soviet Union. Some 247,157 Soviet citizens were killed by the NKVD in ethnic shooting actions.